In September 1907, Ford launched its first assembly line at Highland Park, Michigan, and today they own over 30 manufacturing plants, allowing them to generate $158 billion in annual revenue as of 2022. While they're arguably the dominant automakers in the market, the world's drastic shift towards EVs is leaving Ford to be owned only by enthusiasts. But if you know Ford, you'd know that they have a rich history of EVs. But even if you didn't, Ford is committed to the change, especially after the CEO's recent announcement of the creation of a new $4.5 billion plant. Stay till the end to find out what Ford's been up to and how they plan on disrupting the EV industry with their latest investment. Ford's intent to become a leader in electric cars goes back to the company's earliest days, when Henry Ford was determined to create the low-cost electric car that would rival his beloved Model T. Ford was inspired by his friend and fellow investor, Thomas Edison, who was experimenting with battery technology for vehicles. In 1914, Ford officially began working on his dream car, the Edison Ford. His goal was to sell it for as low as $500, just slightly more than the price of a Model T at the time. Within a year, I hope, we shall begin the manufacture of an electric automobile, Mr. Ford told the New York Times in January 1914. The road to creating the Edison Ford was not easy. The biggest challenge was to build a storage battery that was lightweight and could operate for long distances without needing to be recharged. However, Ford was undeterred and continued to work tirelessly on his vision. The first few electric prototypes had batteries under the seat that could travel between 50 and 100 miles on a single charge. Despite the limitations, Ford was determined to create the first Ford EV and even establish a facility in Detroit to manufacture it. Although the Edison Ford never became a reality, it marked the beginning of Ford's long-standing commitment to electric cars. Throughout the years, Ford produced numerous plug-in concepts, a few production models, and a lot of gas-electric hybrids. However, the company's EV efforts remained mostly unfinished. But around the 1900s, electric cars were all the rage, particularly among women, who loved how easy they were to operate. Unlike gas cars that required a hefty hand crank to start, electric cars simply needed a flick of a switch to come to life. They were also dependable and eco-friendly, producing no foul-smelling emissions. Henry Ford also became a fan of electric cars. His wife Clara was an early adopter, driving an 80-mile 1914 Detroit Electric and singing the praises of EVs to anyone who would listen. In May 1914, Mr. Ford made a bold prediction. An electric car revolution was coming, and the electric automobile would soon be the family carriage of the future. Despite his enthusiasm, historians are still unsure why Ford never followed through on his promise to release the Edison Ford electric car. Some speculate that he was distracted by other projects, but others point to the electric self-starter as the real culprit. As gas-powered cars began to phase out hand-crank starts in favor of electric ones, electric cars lost one of their key selling points: ease of use. Despite Clara's encouragement and an investment of $1.5 million in his electric car project, Ford was forced to shelve his plans for an affordable EV. But as the years went on, Ford Motor Company never forgot about electric cars. In the late 1950s, battery research resumed, and by the 1960s, the American environmental movement was in full swing. In response to the growing demand for cleaner air, Ford began work on a new electric car, one that could go 82 miles on a single charge and was about the size of a Ford Falcon. The stage was set for a new era of electric cars, and Ford was leading the charge. Back in 1966, Ford Motor Company made a breakthrough in battery research, according to the Wall Street Journal. They announced that their new sodium-sulfur batteries could store 15 times more energy than lead-acid batteries, solving the limited range problem and even offering better acceleration than gas cars. Fast forward to 1996, when California made its zero-emissions mandate, and Ford needed to produce and sell several thousand electric cars by 2003. The Think City microcar and the Ford Ranger EV pickup were born, with Ford investing $23 million to acquire Norway-based Think Global, which had been developing a funky, plastic-bodied EV. The Ranger EV, built with support from Think, was the more successful of the two, produced from 1998 to 2002, with a 26 kilowatt-hour nickel-based battery pack providing about 80 miles of range. But there were quality issues, and after California weakened its ZEV mandates, Ford terminated the Ranger EV leases, with only 1,500 trucks made over 4 years, most of which were destroyed. But Ford didn't give up on electric vehicles. After the 2008 financial crisis, and with the Obama administration favoring EVs, Ford unveiled its Focus Electric at the 2009 Frankfurt Motor Show. They used the popular Focus platform, known for being one of the most attractive small cars on the road. The Focus Electric, which went into production in 2011, used a 23 kilowatt-hour battery pack providing 76 miles of range. And the rest is history. Ford's electrified lineup continues with its current offerings, proving that they're in it for the long haul. So hop on board and join Ford's electric revolution. When it debuted, this zippy ride was a breath of fresh air in the world of EVs. Unlike the geeky designs of the Nissan Leaf and Mitsubishi i-MI EV, the Focus Electric looked and drove like a normal car. With a 134 horsepower motor and a liquid-cooled battery management system, this ride had some serious zip and provided consistent year-round range and battery life. But, like any ride, it wasn't perfect. The main battery pack, located under the liftgate, reduced cargo space by a whopping 39%. Bummer. Luckily, Ford wasn't about to let one drawback stall their EV program. In December 2015, the company announced plans to invest $4.5 billion in electrified solutions, promising that 40% of their nameplates would have electrified options by 2020. Fast forward to 2016, and rumors were flying about a new affordable EV called the Model E, set to compete with the Tesla Model 3. Would it happen? In spring 2029, it did. But wait, there's more. In December 2017, Ford revealed plans to create a new division, Team Edison, to design and produce electric and autonomous vehicles. And on September 7, 2018, they released a teaser image of a Mustang-inspired 300-mile electric SUV, set to debut in 2020. The product development director for electric vehicles, Darren Palmer, said he and his team were energized by an $11 billion investment to produce 16 fully electric vehicles by 2022, with a focus on the Chinese market. The list of plug-in models includes versions of the Ford Escape crossover SUV, Lincoln MKC, and Transit Connect. As many countries shift towards achieving a more sustainable future, major economies are also adopting and promoting electric vehicles to reduce carbon emissions from the traditional internal combustion engine, and ultimately help the transport and power sectors contribute toward reaching the 2 degrees C Paris Agreement goal. One of the key commodities to realizing this ambition is nickel. Unlike other battery materials such as cobalt and lithium, nickel is unique in not being primarily driven by global battery demand. About 70% of the world's nickel production is consumed by the stainless steel sector, while batteries take up a modest 5%. The battery sector's nickel demand is also expected to accelerate substantially, with many predicting it to be near 35% of total demand by the end of the decade. The world is buzzing with excitement about the future of electric cars. But there's a catch. While nickel is plentiful, the production of nickel-rich cathodes in lithium-ion batteries requires a high-purity Class 1 nickel. This means that traditional sources of nickel, like stainless steel feed or nickel pig iron and laterite ores, are not suitable for producing the key ingredient, nickel sulfate. The concern is that the availability of high-grade nickel supply could hinder the sustainability goals of governments and original equipment manufacturers. But fear not, because Ford rose to the challenge and released exciting news from the automotive world on the 30th of March 2023. As part of their electrified solutions investment, Ford Motor Company announced a groundbreaking investment deal with PT Vale Indonesia in China's Zhejiang Huayou Cobalt. This partnership will create a nickel processing plant in Indonesia's southeast Sulawesi, worth an incredible $4.5 billion. This marks Ford's first ever investment in Southeast Asia and signals the company's dedication to the future of electric vehicles. With ambitious plans to manufacture 500,000 EV trucks annually at its Tennessee unit, Ford has even established a separate EV vertical. The company anticipates this unit will become profitable pre-tax by the end of 2026. And if that wasn't enough, Ford has set its sights even higher, intending to reach an impressive 2 million EV units annually by 2026. It's a thrilling time for EV enthusiasts in the future of sustainable transportation. In conclusion, Ford has been working on electric cars for over a century, starting with Henry Ford's version of an affordable electric car, the Edison Ford. Despite setbacks and distractions, Ford has never forgotten the potential of electric cars, and their commitment to EVs is stronger than ever. Today, Ford is investing billions of dollars in a new electric vehicle plant, signaling their determination to lead the charge in the EV industry. As the world shifts towards electric cars, Ford is poised to disrupt the market and continue their legacy of innovation. But what do you think? Are you ready to join Ford's electric revolution? Let us know in the comments below.